Donald J. Trump is now President of the United States.
What do we want? Justice! What do we want?
Make anything you worked up, but the bottom line is very clear. When you cross
absolutely
the border
dare you,
illegally,
Why so serious? Howdy, y'all. Welcome to the Wright Brothers. Today we are going to discuss outrage culture and perpetual victimhood. So you know how we do on this channel. Let's get right down to it. Media moves fast. You know it. I know it. America knows it. The world knows it. At no other point in human history has information traveled quite as quickly as it does right here and right now. And with that, it means that we can hop from topic to topic to topic with blazing speed. And the problem with that is we cover a wide breadth of topics, but we may not get as much depth. And the problem with that is it creates an environment of perpetual victimhood. Now, we all know how it is to be really, truly angry in our personal lives. Do you know how much energy that takes to be constantly outraged all the time? That is the political climate that we have found ourselves in 2018. People are so outraged from one topic on 1 week that it feels like it's the end of the world. And then what happens? The news cycle changes, the next week comes, and all of a sudden there is a new flavor of the hour to get truly irate about. So why is that a bad thing? When you're perpetually outraged, you cheapen the validity of what you're outraged about. All that anyone who is on the other side of the aisle from you is going to do is wait and be like, look, 5 minutes from now it's going to change. Just like the weather in Texas. If you don't like it, wait 5 minutes, it'll change. It's the exact same concept with outrage culture in this country right now. And the problem with that is if you have such a narrow scope of outrage and you have such a quick attention span, eventually no one is going to take you seriously when you have an issue that you do care about. And maybe you can say, hey, I care about every issue equally. First of all, no, you don't. That's not possible. Secondly, at that point, who cares? All they have to do is wait 5 minutes, and then you're going to move on to another topic that you're just as outraged about. So, Damani, I know you have some thoughts on this. It's something that all of us have seen in action. What is your take on the outrage culture, and how do you react to it in your personal life?
Well, I thought you started it off really well by just really setting it up. And with the clips that we saw in the beginning, we see how there's just an extreme latency to just gravitate from one option to another option in the means of what it means to be actually outraged, right? So there's a million different things that people can choose to be outraged about. But what's unfortunate is that, to your point from earlier, the more someone claims to be outraged for whatever reason, it literally does cheapen the level of their outrage from the perspective of a bystander. Like, for an example, is the boy that cried wolf analogy, right? Which is where this boy is running around fomenting terror at every waking moment. And then when something truly bad does happen, people outrightly dismissed his claims because he was already known to just be prone to stirring the pot. And I think that analogy is very analogous to what we see today. We see people who literally will wake up in the morning, and before their feet hit the floor, they figured out what they're mad about for the day, right? Mm-hmm. That also goes against what we should do as people. We should look for things to be positive about, because let's be honest, the world's already negative enough. But when you constantly go out of your way to find something to be angry about, you really do discredit yourself, and you really create an aura of displeasure that's very off-putting to people who are around you. So in that vein, being outraged also goes and ties in very well with the notion of perpetual victimhood. That is, finding something where you're always the victim, where you're always the person who is demanding someone to go out of their way to feel bad for you or give you some sort of pity or whatnot. So I kind of want to get your take, Eddie, on what your thoughts are on perpetual victimhood, since you've already kind of talked about the outrage culture, if you will, because the two ideas really do go hand in hand.
Yeah, absolutely. And the problem with perpetual victimhood, and we've talked about it in earlier episodes on the show, it's really cultural Marxism in action. In order for Marxism to work, there has to be an oppressor and an oppressed class. And so with perpetual victimhood, you always manage to find yourself identifying with or trying to defend what you perceive as the oppressed class. And the problem with that is it establishes what is called an external locus of control. And what that means is you don't feel ultimately culpable for whatever happens in your own life. No matter what happens, good or bad, usually bad though in practice, you can always blame it on an outside source, somebody from outside of your demographic, any way to absolve yourself of culpability for maybe your actions or maybe your circumstances. And that's not to say that everybody has equal circumstances. We live in an unfair world. Some people are going to have to work harder to get ahead than others. That's just a fact of life. It always has been that way. It always will be that way. But if you use the fact that you had to work harder than somebody else, and then maybe you fail in that pursuit, because life is about trial and error. Sometimes you're going to win, sometimes you're going to lose. But if you use those losing instances as touchstones for, well, it was never going to happen anyway because this person is holding me down, this institution is holding me down, then what you really do, you abdicate control of your own life to a nameless, most of the time nameless, but usually faceless entity that never has your best interests at heart and always manages to find you on the losing end. And honestly, it's a defeatist attitude and way to go through life. And to tie it back into outrage culture, of course you're going to be outraged if you feel like you're always being put down. That mindset that where you are always the victim, it can pervade every aspect of your life. And we see it on our social media feeds all the time. Everybody has that one or two, or maybe it's a handful if you're unfortunate, group of friends that it seems like they're constantly carping and complaining about something. And you know what? Maybe there is some legitimacy to some of their complaints. But if that is the backdrop for every single instance that they run into, if that is the reason behind every time they come up short, then it really does, it reflects poorly on them, and it reflects poorly on you if you identify with and adopt that mindset. So my personal advice is always strive to have an internal locus of control. Take life by the horns and actually make something good happen. Bad stuff is going to happen. Everybody has crap to deal with. That's just a fact of life. What makes the character of a person is how they choose to react to those adverse circumstances, and then find a way to overcome them instead of just throwing up their hands and becoming a victim perpetually. So, Damani, what's your take on that? I know we've seen it through our friends' lives and impact different people's families. So, how have you dealt with that?
I think you bring up a good point, and that point is what is of paramount importance is to make sure that you always keep things in perspective. There are a million different ways that you can choose to take umbrage at someone else's actions, and how you choose to construe them is completely up to you. But when you go through life and you say, oh, well, I'm a victim because I'm black, I'm a victim because I'm Hispanic, I'm a victim because I'm white, I'm a victim because I'm gay, I'm a victim because literally insert whatever reason here, because that shows how the victimhood status has become an exculpatory clause. And what that means is it's just something that someone uses as a way to get out of assuming personal responsibility for their status in life. There are a million different ways that you can better your way. That's part of what makes us so proud to be Americans, is that you can literally do anything you set your mind to if you're willing to go out and take responsibility for the success or the failure thereof. So to your point, it is about perspective. It's about making sure that you understand, okay, so it's not just me being a victim. There could be many other reasons behind whatever you're going through, but if for you to inherently point the finger at someone else says more about your lack of intrinsic motivation to go out and effect positive change to the status quo. So that's just our take on the outrage culture and perpetual victimhood that we see that really has started to pervade our culture. Obviously, people are very truculent about this issue, and all they want to do is find reasons to be mad. And we want this channel to be something that's actually uplifting and inspiring to y'all. We appreciate overwhelmingly the support that we've received from y'all, from the subscribers that we've received, the positive comments, even the negative comments. We love it all because The only way we're going to affect positive change and really make free thought great again is by being willing to have the discussion. So we appreciate y'all joining this discussion again. If you have thoughts on this, go ahead and leave us a comment below. We always love connecting with our fan base as it continues to grow. We love each and every one of y'all. Don't forget to check out the Facebook page that we have, The Wright Brothers IPID. It's where you can go to find polls, behind the scenes content, and updates on our future videos as well. So episode 7 will be up in about a week or so. We appreciate y'all's patience as we work to continue to grow this channel with all of y'all. Y'all are all our family. So without further ado, we just want to thank you for this time again, and continue to spread the word. Identity politics is dead, and help make free thought great again. So thanks, and gig 'em.
Thanks and gig 'em.
The first revolution is when you change your mind about how you look at things and see that there might be another way to look at it that you have not been shown. The revolution will not be televised, and be no rerun, brothers and sisters. The revolution will be live.